Hey folks, Crazyclimber80 here again, and we're going to look at a couple things this time. First off, the Magnavox Odyssey, the first home video game console released in 1972. But also, this is my 1300th YouTube video. Happy, joy. And as is common with every 100th video I do, we're going to do a flashback episode. We're going to go back to the year of the game in the video, this being 1972. So let's fire up the Crazyclimber80 DeLorean. First off, news events. This was the longest leap year in history. Also, the British Army soldiers kill 14 civil rights protesters in North Ireland. Bloody Sunday. This leads to anti-British riots throughout Ireland. President Nixon meets Mao Zedong in People's Republic of China. A coal sludge spill kills 125 in Buffalo Creek, West Virginia. The First Sudanese Civil War ends. North Vietnamese forces enter the demilitarized zone of South Vietnam. 6.7 earthquake hits southern Iran, killing 5,374. U.S. forces bomb Hanoi and Haiphong. A Tutsi-dominated army massacres 500,000 Hutus in Burundi, East Africa. 115 die in a DC-8 crash in Sicily. Tactical fighter aircrafts bomb North Vietnam. A fire in an Osaka department store kills 115. Or department store building. Governor George Wallace is shot and paralyzed in Laurel, Maryland. Pong is the first successful arcade video game created. 238 die in the Black Hills flood in South Dakota. Hurricane Agnes kills 117 in the U.S. East Coast. The first Popeye's chicken restaurant opens in Araby, Louisiana. 108 are killed when 2 trains hit debris from a collapsed tunnel in Vierzy, France. 5 White House operatives are arrested for burglarizing the Democratic National Committee offices. The Watergate scandal. 118 die in an airliner crash over London Heathrow Airport. Massive flooding and landslides in Hong Kong kill 150. Nixon and Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman are taped discussing using the CIA to block the FBI's investigation into Watergate. Jane Fonda receives flack from her North Vietnam visit sitting on an anti-aircraft gun. She's nicknamed Hanoi Jane. Boris Spassky and Bobby Fischer play a famous chess match in Reykjavik, and Fischer wins. 156 die in an airline crash in East Berlin. Members of the Arab terrorist group Black September kill 11 Israeli athletes at the 72 Munich Olympics. The book Joy of Sex is published. A train crash in Saltillo, Mexico kills 208. An Uruguayan plane carrying a rugby team crashes in the Andes. 16 live, but they had to resort to cannibalism to survive. Nixon defeats McGovern in a landslide, despite the Watergate scandal. The U.S. Army turns over the Long Bin military base to South Vietnam. Apollo 17 is the last manned mission to the moon. The Portuguese army kills 400 Africans in Mozambique. A 6.2 earthquake kills 5,000 to 11,000 in Nicaragua. The U.S. bombs North Vietnam on Christmas Day. The U.S. bans DDT. Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crashes in the Florida Everglades, killing 101. And now we're going to look at famous deaths of 1972. Jackie Robinson, Yip Man, Roberto Clemente, Harry S. Truman, Mahalia Jackson, J. Edgar Hoover, Ezra Pound, Max Fleischer, MC Escher, Dan Blocker, Ross Bagdasarian, George Sanders, Barry Oakley, William Boyd, Hopalong Cassidy, and Walter Winchell. And now we're going to look at top songs of 1972, number one songs, followed by a bunch of other popular tunes of the year. First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, Alone Again Naturally, Brand New Key, continued from 71, American Pie, Let's Stay Together, Without You, Heart of Gold, A Horse with No Name, Oh Girl, I'll Take You There, The Candyman, Song Sung Blue, Lean on Me, Brandy You're a Fine Girl, Black and White, Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me, Ben, My Ding-a-Ling, I Can See Clearly Now, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, I Am Woman, and Me and Mrs. Jones. And again, other popular songs of 72, I Gotcha, Daddy Don't You Walk So Fast, Nice to Be With You, Betcha by Golly Well, Outta Space, Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, Popcorn, Precious and Few, Everybody Plays the Fool, Nights in White Satin, Last Night I Didn't Get to Sleep at All, Go All the Way, Too Late to Turn Back Now, Backstabbers, Sunshine, Day After Day, Rocket Man, City of New Orleans, Garden Party, Morning Has Broken, Burnin' Love, Everything I Own, Happiest Girl in the Whole USA, Mother and Child Reunion, Where is the Love, Coconut, Joy, Hot Rod Lincoln, School's Out, Saturday in the Park, Use Me, Day by Day, Doctor My Eyes, Vincent, Conquistador, Never Rains in Southern California, Claire, Playground in My Mind, Ventura Highway, Take It Easy, Witchy Woman, and Summer Breeze. Now let's look at TV show debuts of 72. ABC After School Special, Bob Newhart Show, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, Emergency, Fat Albert, Gambit, Great Performances, In Concert or Rock Concert, The Joker's Wild, Kung Fu, MASH, Maude, The New Scooby-Doo Movies, The New Zoo Review, The Price is Right returns in a new format, one we're familiar with, The Rookies, Sanford and Son, Split Second, The Streets of San Francisco, Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, The Waltons, and Zoom. And now we're going to look at movie debuts of top movie debuts of 1972. The Godfather, Oscar winner. Deliverance, Across 110th Street, Ben, The Porn Behind the Green Door, Blackula, Butterflies Are Free, Cabaret, The Candidate, another porn Deep Throat, Fritz the Cat, X-rated cartoon, Jeremiah Johnson, King of Marvin Gardens, Lady Sings the Blues, Last House on the Left, Last Tango in Paris, New Centurions, The Other, Play It Again, Sam, The Poseidon Adventure, The Possession of Joel Delaney, Silent Running, Slaughterhouse 5, Snoopy Come Home, Sounder, Superfly, and What's Up, Doc? Now we're going to look at sports. Major sporting events of 1972. Super Bowl VI. The Dallas Cowboys blow out the Dolphins 24-3. MVP was Roger Staubach. Also, the first Steeler playoff win via the Immaculate Reception. And also, NCAA football, Nebraska blows out Bama 38-6 in the Orange Bowl for the national championship. NBA Finals, the LA Lakers beat the Knicks 4-1. ABA Finals, the Pacers defeat the New York Nets 4-2. NCAA Championship, Bill Walton and the UCLA Bruins beat Florida State 81-76. World Series, Oakland Athletics beat Cincinnati 4-3. Washington Senators become the Texas Rangers. Stanley Cup, Boston Bruins defeat the New York Rangers 4-2. Golf, Masters champ is Jack Nicklaus, also U.S. Open champ. And then British Open champ was Lee Trevino. PGA champ was Gary Player. In tennis, Billie Jean King wins the French Open, U.S. Open, and Wimbledon championships. Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany, USSR wins most golds and most medals altogether. Same thing in the Winter Olympics in Sapporo, Japan. The U.S. loses to USSR in Olympic basketball in the final protracted, controversial seconds. The USA team has never accepted their silver medals to this date. That was our look at 1972. And now we're going to look at the Magnavox Odyssey, the very first home video game system.
This is Odyssey, the new electronic game simulator. You attach Odyssey to your television set in seconds to create a closed-circuit electronic playground. Odyssey is tennis, roulette, football and hockey, analogic, and geography. Odyssey comes complete with 12 electronic games and educational experiences. Many more are optionally available, like a shooting gallery, a prehistoric safari. Odyssey is an electronic teacher. Odyssey is a total play and learning experience for all ages. Odyssey. It's new from Magnavox. Odyssey.
Well, hey, there's Magnavox product manager Bob Fritchie on What's My Line game show peddling the Odyssey. Now, here's some stuff about the Odyssey. It was created by Sanders Associates and Magnavox in September of 72 and was discontinued in 1975. There was no sound. There was just monochrome white shapes on a black and white screen, and there were 350,000 of them sold. And here's one of the designers, Ralph H. Baer, and the other two major designers, Bill Harrison and Bill Rush. And there's a controller. It has a dial on the right side and one dial within another dial on the left side, kind of weird setup, and a reset button on top. And that's what the games came on, was these little these cards, these printed circuit board cards, and there were 28 games in total. And there's the stuff that came with the Magnavox Odyssey. Bunch of card decks, poker chips, dice. There were also 6C batteries that the system would run on, or it could run on a AC power supply that was sold separately. And here's an early example of a light gun. And it comes with a shooting gallery game sold separately. And these are overlays, and these would be placed over your TV set. You can't really play the game very well without them. And there's different versions of the Odyssey. There's the Odyssey 100 and the Odyssey 200. They played the same. They just had a different look to them. Well, before we jump into the games, note that there's timekeeping and scoring and rules that are not included in the game. A third person really has to do that. It's really stupid. But let's start with table tennis. And that little miniature knob on the left side of the controller can be used to change the English, the direction of the rebound, which is really nice. And it's the little knob inside the other knob on the left side. So you just kind of rotate that little knob and you can add some English, some curve to the ball that's bouncing back and forth. And this is just Pong, really. Although you can move all the way up to the net or past it, which is really weird for table tennis rules. But now we're going to look at Ski, and that is the overlay there, and the game cartridge that it came on. And in this you can choose from one of 3 tracks, and you just guide your light down one of the tracks. And this is where human interaction really has to take place in terms of rules and whatnot. You follow a trail to the end with the square in the fastest possible time. Hit a tree or red dots, and the third player will, or the third participant will have to add seconds. If you hit a mountain, then apparently it's game over. And it's really stupid. The Magnavox Odyssey feels less like a game and more like just player interaction. Not playing the game, but like using cards or dice or whatever that came with the system, doing the rules and scoring and whatnot, because the game won't be doing that. And there's no sound. I really don't think the Magnavox Odyssey was very good, even for 1972. But now we're going to look at Simon Says, and this you have to use a card deck, and it will tell a body part for you to move your light marker to on the screen. There's some cards, and I guess you try to beat the other player to that body part. The faster player will keep the card. If it doesn't say Simon Says, then you aren't supposed to move, and if you do, then you lose that card. When all the cards are used up, the player with the most cards wins. So this is also seemingly less of a video game and more of a card game. Yeah, it just not a very good system. But we're also going to look at tennis. And this is the same as table tennis, but you have tennis player silhouettes on the overlay. See? Yeah, really not that great, but at least it's a direct video game player interaction instead of a card game or whatever crap. This time we're going to look at a game called Analogic, and in this one, players alternate moving one square at a time, touching planets, and they keep score, or the third person keeps score. You use even, then odd numbers, so you alternate those as you move around the board and try to get to the planets in the center and start collecting points. Yeah, this I think they were better off to not release this system, because it's just so dull. But next we're going to look at hockey, and in this one it is the same as tennis or table tennis or whatever. You just try to hit the ball into the goal, and again you can put English on the ball once you serve it. In some of the games there will be a ball at the center and you need to touch it in order to serve it. And in other ones, I think you hit the reset button on the controller and the ball will come out of the side and be in play. But we are also going to look at football, and this is the most convoluted mess of a game. This came on numerous different cards, I believe, or game cards. Well, two of them. One dealt with the run game, and the others were for pass, kick, and punt. And there was a lot of cards that came with this. There's a separate board game that goes with it. Just a convoluted mess. There was also dice. And I can't really remember how specifically it plays. It's just a very, very convoluted mess. What a slow ball. They kick it faster than that in real football. But at any rate, moving on to cat and mouse. And in this one, the cat just tries to catch the mouse, and the cat is the second player. And if it touches the mouse, then the mouse disappears and has to re-enter the screen. And there are supposedly going to be 3 turns for each player. One as the mouse, and then one as the cat, and then they switch sides. And the one who, I guess, gets the most points is the winner, and to get a point, you either catch the mouse, or the mouse makes it to the bottom right square, which is their home base or something. Or house, mouse house, I don't know. Crappy game, crappy system. But moving on to Haunted House. And this has 30 clue cards and 14 message cards. The second player is the ghost, and they try to catch the detective, which is the first player. If they do, then the detective disappears and reappears a little bit later. And the ghost hides in little windows, which are called clues. And if the detective touches that clue, then he gets a clue card. And the detective gets a message card when reaching the 3rd floor. The players will switch, I guess, eventually, and the player with the most clue cards wins. Really, this angle of making it mostly a card game with a lot of these games just doesn't work. And the game not having any scoring system or rules of its own or timekeeping or whatever, it sucks. But now we're going to look at Submarine. And one player is the sub-captain and one player is the convoy commander, and they try to hit each other with the bouncing ball. If you're hit by a ball, you lose a ship. If you leave your lane, I guess, then you will lose a ship to a mine, which you don't see. And the most sunk ships, the player that has sunk the most ships is the winner, I guess. This just doesn't work. It's just not a good concept. I mean, it's the first home game console, but it's really not very good. At any rate, now we're going to look at roulette. This is also kind of a convoluted mess. You use a roulette board and chips and play money. And what you're supposed to do, I guess, is close your eyes and rotate your knob and press the reset button to place the ball on the wheel. And you can place bets for money. Really bad. But at this point, I believe the game, the emulator that I played, stopped working correctly. So I just stopped playing the games. I mean, it's basically Pong for every game, with some slight adjustments on occasion. So, this time we're going to look at states, and this is where you use a 50-card deck, and each card asks 3 questions about a state. And there was kind of a cheat book that gives you all the answers, I guess. And that's what the overlay looks like. But now we're going to look at a game called Fun Zoo. I'm showing the number game card that all of these came on, and there was a board game to it, or a board to it that you also play on, and you just try to use the cards to find out where the animal or whatever you're supposed to look for is. And this time we're going to look at baseball, and this is like tennis. You bounce a ball to the batter, and they hit it. They bounce it back, and I guess if it gets past you, it's a home run. I don't know. Now we're going to look at invasion, and you try to take over all the castles on the board map, and there's a board map, and you use dice as well. You draw loot cards when capturing a castle for gold to buy boats or more armies, so it's like Risk. And there's the overlay there. Just not very good games, not a very good system, period. Now we're going to look at Wipeout, and the first player follows a road path, the second player sends a ball, and each back and forth that it makes reduces a lap from the player's lap count, and it starts at 30, and laps that are remaining moves you spaces on a game board, I guess. Now we're going to look at volleyball, and this is the same as tennis or table tennis or whatever, but the ball hitting the net will make it disappear, and you have to put it back in play. And we're also going to look at another table tennis type of game, soccer, but you try to get the ball in the other player's goal to make it disappear, and then you put it back into play. And now we'll look at handball. And this is the same as tennis or Pong or whatever, but you bounce the ball off the far left wall to make it ricochet back at the other player. And this time we're going to look at prehistoric safari, and now we have our light gun games. There were 4 of them that came with the light gun. This is one of them. One player has 15 seconds, you keep the time yourself, to shoot as many dinosaurs as they can. The second player will put the square on a red light on the dinosaur to help you see where you're supposed to shoot it. And now we're going to look at Dogfight, another light gun game. First player uses the light gun, second player moves the square. Touching the square on the plane picture allows it to be shot by the first player. And we're going to look at another light gun game, and this is called Shootout. And in this one, the second player moves the marker through the windows for 1 to 1.5 seconds each, and the first player tries to shoot them. After completing a course, rolls are switched, and the most shots connecting wins. It's just not a good system. They would have an Odyssey 2 later on in the 70s. Shooting gallery, use the light gun. The second player moves the target square through the targets, and the first player shoots them. But now that is all the light gun games, and now we're going to look at Percepts. And you have to use 2 decks of 15 cards apiece. You lay them out like the spaces on the overlay. And you study the pattern on a purple deck card, then find a matching green card. Try to beat the other player to that space on the overlay for a green card. A second game is played fairly similarly. And the game was free if you registered your Odyssey system. And now we're going to look at a game called Brainwave. You use dice and a board, and I guess there's also markers or thought tiles. This is weird. You build a train of thought and try to block the second player's path. It's just not very good ideas for this system. You win thought tiles on the on-screen game. And now we're going to look at a game called WIN, Win, and that stands for Word, Image, Number. Each player gets 2 word, 2 number, and 1 image card. you move your square to the letters, numbers, or symbols on the overlay to complete the criteria on the cards. That is WIN, and again that stands for word, image, number. And now we're going to look at basketball. And this is kind of Pong-ish, but this is a little bit better. You can touch the ball to kind of dribble it and try to guide it to one of the basketball hoops to get a point. And now we're going to look at interplanetary voyage. And you try to land your square on the correct planet. And there are knowledge cards, and they have planetary trivia on them. You find the correct answer on the overlay with your square, the right planet or star system or whatever. But that was our look at the 28 games for the Magnavox Odyssey. Magnavox Odyssey was released in 1972, and it was not a very good system, but hey, it was the very first home video game system. Well, this is Crazyclimber80's, and thanks for watching the Magnavox Odyssey. Later on in 1978, they would release the Magnavox Odyssey 2, which was tons better, but I think it was still not terrific. Maybe I'll look at that someday. Well, that was my look at the Magnavox Odyssey and the year 1972. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon with my next video. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.